Good afternoon. My name is Donna Feazell, and I'm your host of Donna's Edge Talk Show. Thank you so much for watching every day, Monday through Friday, from 1 to 3 p.m. Central. As I get to ride home with you in the afternoon. It's always a fun ride. You can find us on television, channel 182 on Charter Communications and Abundance Television, found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. You can also find the podcast at thenewscasters.com. If you'd like to send an email, if you have suggestions for shows, I've got one for you right here, and this is from Jason. And you can always send an email suggestions. If you'd like me to do a little research for you, I can do that. Just go to donna@donnasedge.com. That's donna@donnasedge.com. So I was sent an email asking if I knew of any recession-proof jobs that, whatever, you can do this and you'll always be able to make a living. I got to say my number one choice as far as Donna Feazell is concerned is farming, because you'll always be able to, people are always going to need food. And sometimes the supply chain will go down, and we all experienced that through COVID. And so it's just a good thing to always do. But there are also 12 recession-proof jobs. And so I have the list of those. Let's go ahead and get started with those. Some of you probably already have these. So we've all heard the rumbling of recessions and that kind of thing. And it kind of feels like one to me. When the cost of goods go up, supply goes down, and people who have jobs are in fear of losing their jobs, are afraid to spend any money. Guess what? Recession is just right around the corner, if it isn't already. So let's talk about what is a recession-proof job. And simply put, a recession-proof job helps fill an essential need that isn't affected by how good or bad the economy is doing. So recession-proof businesses keep rolling whether the economy is booming or busting. For instance, people are always going to need things like food and medical care, right? So if people working these needed-based industries like grocery stores or hospitals, there's quite a bit of job security there. Also curious about other stable industries. Let's go ahead and start going down the list for those. Number one, and of course, Northeast Alabama Community College has a great source for classes there. So you can, any of these jobs, you'll be able to get ready for these type jobs. So healthcare jobs. So it's no surprise that jobs related to the medical profession are number one. Everybody's going to get sick, right? You're going to get a flu. You're going to get, whatever's going to happen to you. Recession or not, people will always need a medical care. So the Great Recession had very little impact on healthcare jobs compared to the rest of the economy, which experienced 10% unemployment. So the list of healthcare jobs could run a mile long, but there are a few common positions that you could actually get started in. Number one is always going to be a doctor, and then a nurse. Physical therapists, those are in great need. So we used to own a Snelling franchise. And I'll tell you, even during the recessions back in the 1980s, and then even now, there's a big need for physical therapists, and they pay big. So also dentist, a dental hygienist, which is where my daughter-in-law's training came from, anesthesiologist, radiologist, lab technicians are always going to be in great need, home health care aide, and a pharmacist. So no matter what the state of the economy, medical professions are in high demand. In fact, the healthcare industry is expected to add about 2 million new jobs by the year 2031. Now, if you don't like the blood and guts of it all, you can still be in the medical world. They're always looking for people to work in the insurance part of it, and medical coding is always needed as well. And also the front end where you're meeting the customers, those jobs are always going to be available. So get training if you want to make sure you're in the number one. And this has been decades now, always looking for medical folks. Specialized care jobs. Now, what could that be? Okay, specialized care falls under the umbrella of healthcare jobs. So yes, these jobs are recession proof. And here are some of the examples of these specialized care jobs. A therapist. Christian therapist is always in high demand. People are always going to get married, and folks are always going to look for therapists to talk with them about getting married and what can happen about the whole works on that. Counselors, mental health professionals, social workers, and elder care specialists. especially now the baby boomers are now in the aging category, such as myself. And so it's always going to be a need for elder care specialists. And it can be anything from trying to understand your Medicare, your insurance, all those things you've got to understand. And in this world of computers and that kind of thing, it's not as easy as it used to be to understand. So the Council on Aging is always a great source. Those folks are always going to have a job. Okay, let's talk about number 3, which is the public safety jobs. Now, when you call 911, you really need somebody to pick up that line, right? So getting sent to voicemail would be a disaster if you've got an emergency. I mean, it's happening now. Somebody's breaking in. There's been an accident up the road, whatever. You need to be able to call somebody and talk to somebody like now. Since public safety is a necessity, jobs related to that are usually pretty recession-proof. So those jobs include police officer. And by the way, how did we get to the point where people are not respecting police officers? There's going to be a few bad ones, of course. There are crazy talk show hosts. There are crazy people in every possible job there is out there. But respect your police officers. Tell them you appreciate them, okay? Okay, so that's number 1. Firefighters. Tell them you appreciate their jobs as well. I mean, they're really, anytime they go out to a fire, they could risk their life. Them with police officers. Paramedics, a prison guard, security guard, cybersecurity specialist. That is probably moving up the ranks right there more than we know. There's always a problem. Somebody's going to hack your computer. It happens all the time. I'm consistently getting people I'm already friends with on Facebook. Somebody is taking over their account or somebody is cloning their account. And so you've always got people who are trying to meet with lonely women on the internet, on Facebook and other areas. So that cybersecurity specialist is in huge demand. Okay, number 4, let's talk about this one. Public utility jobs. Ever experienced a blackout? Oh, yeah. We all have from one time, especially right in this area. Sometimes a thunderstorm can come along. We can get too much rain. There can be an issue with the power going out. Water treatment. Let's talk about these. Water treatment plant operator is always going to be in need. And those are really stinky jobs too, by the way. Civil engineer, septic tank servicer, a power plant tech, lineman. We keep seeing sewer. Okay, sewer maintenance worker and garbage collector. By the way, there was a day when people looked down on garbage collectors. That is insane. Why did that happen? First of all, garbage collectors in most cases actually work for the government. Guess what? They're going to have like a great retirement plan if they get with it and stick with it. So who was to look down on some of these jobs? I don't get it. But anyway, this is anything. Public utility jobs are always going to be in demand. Repair service jobs. I say that should be up there number 1 in my opinion. So your daughter wanted to see if Barbie could swim in the toilet. Barbie can't swim in the toilet. And now you've got a mess on your hands that only a plumber can fix. Stuff breaking is just part of life. So no matter what your financial situation, you got to get it fixed. Okay, that's why we tell you to try to have a fund available just in case something like that happens. And let me tell you something. Anytime I've ever had a party for employees, this is always going to happen right before a bunch of people are coming over to the house. Always. There are some repair service jobs that aren't affected by recessions. And most of these jobs don't require a 4-year degree. You can go ahead and go to a tech school and get your start on these. Okay, auto mechanic. If you're a good auto mechanic and you really, really know your stuff and you don't gouge people with pricing, you're going to always have a job. You'll always have a business. It's always going to be the need for you. An electrician, a plumber, HVAC technician, a locksmith, and a computer repair technician. Any of these right here, whatever you're in, something's always going to tear up. Something is always going to break. Electrician, something could happen outside with your electrical wire. Who knows? And you're afraid to fix it. You're afraid you're going to get electrocuted. Yeah, you need somebody out there who really knows what they're doing. So absolutely on those jobs. And also an HVAC technician. So when are you always going to have issues? You're always going to have a problem when it's going to be extremely hot outside or extremely cold outside. There's always going to be an issue there. And yeah, it happened to us when we were living in Charlotte, and we had to figure it out. It was like hot. I'm telling you, the hottest day of the year. And it's like almost everybody's HVAC tore up at the same time. These guys were in such a high demand. And yeah, they're well needed. And your locksmith, how many times have you locked yourself out of the house? How many times have you locked yourself out of your car? How many times has that happened? So yeah, they're in high demand. Number 6, let's go with federal government jobs. Okay, so you've probably heard jokes about getting a cushy government job with a pension, and these jokes aren't far off, by the way. A federal government job is about as secure as they come, as long as it's not an elected position. In fact, the U.S. government sometimes boosts its hiring to try to kick back the economy during a recession. So here are some common government jobs out there. Again, we're not saying elected officials. Okay, so air traffic controller, you're always going to have a position as long as you get out there, always. An IRS accountant, somebody does your taxes. A criminal investigator, always going to be. Postal worker, I know people like my uncle, one of my uncles was actually a postal worker in Oxford and retired with the Postal Service. And his Uncle Ralph Shears. And then I also have another cousin up here that retired from the post office in Albertville. Great jobs, had a great pension. Also, let's see, postal workers, a nurse working for the federal government, and also administrator for the federal government. You're always going to have a job. That's the way it's always going to be. Okay, we are just in time. Let's go ahead and have a commercial break, and we're going to come back with jobs that are always going to be. I mean, it's just the way it is. We'll be right back in just a minute. Twin City Used Car Sales has been serving drivers in the Northeast Alabama area for years with a quality selection of late model used cars, SUVs, and pickup trucks. On top of our extensive selection and competitive prices, we offer professional auto financing services for used car buyers of all credit levels. Whether you've just begun your search or you're ready to secure your next vehicle, at Twin City Used Car Sales, you will drive away with the vehicle of your dreams. The sales and finance staff at Twin City Used Car Sales looks forward to serving you, and you can apply for financing online before your visit to our used dealership in Gadsden, Alabama. Check us out on the web at twincityusedcars.com or go by our location at 901 First Avenue, Gadsden, Alabama. We sincerely look forward to serving you. The Hatter Cafe and Country Inn is nestled in the northeast corner of Alabama the Beautiful in the delightful town of Mentone. We're located on top of scenic Lookout Mountain near Little River and DeSoto State Park and located only 5 minutes from shopping and restaurants. There is also a nearby community walking path and golf course. We welcome everyone through the doors, and we are committed to outstanding service for all guests. At the Hatter Cafe and Country Inn, we invite people from all walks of life to come and get away from it all, enjoy the open spaces, treetop views, fresh, clean air, and experience Southern hospitality at its finest. We look forward to hosting you. To reserve a special event, or if you would love a special getaway at the Country Inn, you can call us at 256-634-2018.
Are you ready?
We all wonder what tomorrow will bring, but the future lays itself at the feet of the prepared and surrenders to the will of the persistent. It's not easy, but today shapes you so you can shape tomorrow. With Northeast Alabama Community College, when the future asks if you're ready, you can answer
yes.
Begin your future at Northeast Alabama Community College.
The only place I buy my beef is Lone Tree Ranch in Collinsville, Alabama. Their cattle is born and raised on their ranch, grass and grain fed, and you can feel confident when you serve your family and friends because their beef is all natural and no antibiotics or hormones are added. You can buy whole beef or perhaps go in with family or friends and buy half. Their customer service is number one as they take care of the delivery to their local processor and can deliver to your home for a small added fee. They also offer herd replacement heifers. I always call Lone Tree Ranch in Collinsville, Alabama for my beef specialty recipes and cookouts, and you can too. Food shortages are increasing, so buy local by calling 256-523-6462. That's 256-523-6462.
Donna's Designs offers a line of handmade memorial, wedding, and keepsake jewelry that launched back in 1970. I'm a self-trained jewelry designer, and I will work closely with you to create unique designs you can love and treasure for years to come. Whether that be flowers that were used in a funeral arrangement or stones you found on the beach at a memorable trip, call me at 256-659-4319, and let's think of the possibilities.
My Towels solved a problem that we've all had with towels. You go into the stores and they feel lotiony and soft, but then you get them home and they wind dry you. That's why I made My Towels. They actually work, they're soft, and they absorb. And now I'm excited to announce 2 brand new lines of My Towels. What makes them the best towels ever is they're now made with 100% long staple Shapir cotton. This is a combed ring-spun cotton that makes My Towels even softer and more absorbent than ever. And now you get a 6-piece set for an amazing introductory sale price as low as $29.98. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to get My Towels for only $29.98. Or you can get my designer premium line for just $20 more. Either way, you save 50% now on all My Towels. They actually work. What a concept. This offer won't last long, so please order now.
MyPillow.com.
Okay, we're back. My name is Donna, and I am your host of Donna's Edge Talk Show. We're talking about recession-proof jobs. You're always going to have one. And so we have just a few more we're going to talk about. So we talked about, the last one was federal government jobs. So let's go into educational jobs. Education pays in more than one way. So if you have a job in the education field, you'll usually be safe during a recession because kids are always going to have to learn from reading, writing, and arithmetic. So let's look at these jobs. Okay, a teacher, college professor, a principal, somebody's got to run the school, right? And a school administrator. You're always going to have a job. Let's talk about child care jobs. When mom and dad both have to work outside the home, child care is a necessity. And an expensive necessity at that. So these jobs relating to taking care of kids are a safe bet when it comes to being recession-proof. These are preschool teachers, daycare assistant, daycare director, after-school care coordinator. Okay, so you got to have those. Also, I might add in there a tutor. I think a tutor would be pretty called for too. Okay, number 9, beauty services. People are going to get their hair done no matter what. So you'd think people would cut back on their spending when it came to a beauty service during tough times. Many skip that cut and colors save some money. No, they don't. Okay, they're going to get their hair done. So studies have shown that spending on cosmetics and personal care actually went up during the Great Recession. People were getting their eyelashes done, getting their fingernails done. And there are some recession-proof jobs in beauty services, such as a hairstylist, unless it comes to something like COVID, and those jobs were restricted. Coloring hair, cosmetologist, cosmetic sales associate, and massage therapist. People have to get over that stuff. Okay, number 10, grocery jobs. That's true. This is a no-brainer. People are going to have to eat, right? That could be your grocery store managers, a cashier, a stalker, and a bagger. Now let's talk about finance jobs. Okay, so this category is just a little bit tricky there. So some careers in finance, like financial advisors, did okay during the Great Recessions, but others, like loan officers, got hit pretty hard. So here's some fairly recession-proof jobs in finance. A financial advisor, a tax preparer, and I'm going to say that one's always going to be, and also a bookkeeper. Number 12, and I've thought about this one I've thought about it often, and this is your funeral industry jobs. It's kind of a bummer because everybody's going to die at some point, right? So, did you know that death care is one of the world's oldest professions? And here are some actually funeral industry jobs that are safe from a recession. Okay, so that's going to be a funeral director, a mortician, a crematorium technician, a cemetery groundskeeper is always going to have a job, and also grief counselors are always going to have jobs. So let's talk about the jobs that are most affected by a recession. Now, when a recession hits, people are quick to stop making big purchases like houses and cars. Now, this directly impacts people who work in construction and manufacturing industries. Now, when money's tight, people also spend less on entertainment, travel, and other non-essential items. Now, here are some of those jobs that could possibly take a hit during a recession. Possibly a metal worker, possibly a machinist, an assembly line worker, a home builder. I know not a lot of them that have been hit hard by recessions and depressions. Real estate agents could have a time, travel agent, and a new car salesman. Used cars are always going to be, that's always going to boom. Bobby Ledbetter, Twin City Used Cars, check him out. He's in Gadsden, Alabama. Now, what are some recession-proof skills that you might want to work on? So if you're working in a field that could be affected by a recession, think about growing your skills now so you aren't caught completely off guard if you ever lose your job. Chances are you already have a number of soft skills that can translate into being successful in a different career field. So here are some of those soft and hard skills that are recession proof. Now, soft skills would be something that you're likable. You know, people are always looking for good salespeople. You're a likable person. Got to be coachable. That's a must. Got to be easy to adapt to change. You got to be able to jump from one fire to the next hurdle, okay? Positive attitude, always in there. Got to be honorable. People got to trust you. Got to be reliable, and you also have to be creative. Now let's talk about hard skills, okay? Medical expertise, computer technology knowledge, mechanical repair, teaching, and nunchuck skills. We're going to talk about some of those as well. Now, get more career tips by checking out online. So let's talk about the next skills. Now, if you want to make a career switch, whether to one of the industries you just looked at or anything else, let's talk about how you get qualified, okay? So get qualified is number one. So what certifications do you need? What education or training will you need to make a career switch? It's really, really important. We've got some great community colleges. We have Northeast Alabama Community College, we have Snead State, and we also have Gadsden State College up there as well. You can get some great deals also through Jack State. But check out with your career colleges and see what they have to offer. Very minimal. And I'll tell you something else you can do. You can always talk to your employer. And what I'm going to say, no, and here's what I mean you want to do. You want to go to Mr. or Mrs. Employer and say, look, I want to be the best employee you've got. I feel like I need to work on some particular skills. And I wondered if you'd pay for it if I go to a community college. That's all you got to say. So what if they say no? Okay, they say no, it's not in the budget, blah, blah, blah. Okay, this is another thing you might want to think about. Okay, say, okay, I'm still going to go. So this is what I wonder, and I want to talk to you about. Okay, so let's say I keep my grade up at a particular grade point average. I pay for it, and I learn a new skill. After it's over with, would you pay for it? Would you reimburse me if I keep up with this? Most everybody's going to say yes to that. Now, for the few that would say no, then you can turn right around and say, okay, would you consider paying half of my expenses? And now this also pertains to books. It pertains to everything. It's what you're asking for, okay? Most of them are going to at least reimburse you the whole amount. And then some will say, yeah, I will definitely reimburse you. You got to keep up a particular grade point average. you need to also promise you're going to be with my company for at least 2 years. You can get a yes out of that most of the time. You sign the document, get them to sign it, and you're done. Okay? All right, now, that was get qualified. That's certification, training, that kind of thing. Okay, let's talk about number 2, and that's get connected. Okay, so finding opportunities to do what you love is as simple as getting around to the right people and being in the right place. So just make it happen. But I want to tell you something. A lot of people will not take a particular job because they don't want to start at the bottom. Okay, so let's just say you've got 30 years of 20, let's say 20 years of experience in a particular category, but you just want to change. You want to do something a little different. You just feel like, I actually like working with people a little bit more. I think I would like to get into customer service with a company, but you don't have that experience. If you'll start out at the bottom of the totem pole, you'll work your way up, because people want to hire people who want to work and want to move up the chain of command. So don't knock it. Sometimes they're just seeing if you will. Sometimes people they just want to see if you'll start out at the bottom and work your way up. And let me tell you, the jobs you have that you started at the bottom and worked your way up, those are the most fulfilling ones. I would hate to get started in a position with something that I have no clue about and start at the top, where I'm actually, I'm handling employees. First of all, I'm not going to know how to handle those employees because I've never done that job before. I say it's a must. Start at the bottom. You can work your way quickly up to the top if you'll just apply yourself. Okay, getting connected, we talked about that. Now, number 3, get hired. Okay, so now it's time to start polishing your resume, sending out applications, and getting the wrinkles out of those new interview outfits. Okay, now let's talk about that going on the job interview. You don't have to dress in a suit, nothing like that. It would be a good idea to check out the Facebook pages of the company that you're going to interview with. You'll see where they do things out in the community, what have you. You'll see pictures of their employees. You'll see how they're dressed. So what you want to do, if they wear jeans on the job, that's fine. If they wear jeans and maybe a polo shirt, something like that on the job, that's fine. But now don't go on the interview wearing jeans and a polo shirt. It would be best to wear a nicely pressed Oxford shirt and a pair of khakis. You don't have to wear a suit and a tie. Now, if it is a professional job, I would definitely go in a suit and tie. I really would. I would really dress up for that. But the way you dress, your clothes, if all you've got is jeans, you can always go to a thrift shop and you can always buy a pair of khakis. You can always do that. But if you can't do that, you don't have time, and they say, we won't see you this afternoon. You have time to iron your blue jeans, and you also have time to iron your shirt. That is extremely important. If you don't know that iron, hire your next door neighbor who lives across the street to do it. It's worth paying them to make sure your clothes are ironed and they're pressed. And I'll have to tell you something, that says a lot. Also, never go on a job interview. As a matter of fact, don't drink coffee on the way. Just don't, because you may have to stop. A car's going to pull out in front of you, whatever. You're going to have to stop. Guess what? You're going to get coffee on yourself. Go home and change. I mean, you have to do that, because that's what they're going to notice. They're not going to notice anything you've got to say about yourself or your background or what you are capable of doing when they're looking at that coffee that has been spilled on your shirt. They just won't. Take advice from me, okay? I was in that business a really long time. Thank you again so much for watching. I hope this helps. Recession-proof jobs. My name is Donna, and I'm your host of Donna's Edge. Can't wait to see you next time.